It started with a whisper. The kind of rumor that crawls out of nowhere, slips through fan forums, and suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. A post appeared late one night on a celebrity gossip page. The user claimed to have worked on a set with Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson years ago. The message was short but explosive. "There's something they never told the public. Something about a baby. Not what you think, but something that changed both of them forever." Within hours, it was everywhere. Hidden baby? Jamie and Dakota's secret child? Theories flooded social media. Fans began dissecting old interviews, movie clips, and behind-the-scenes photos like detectives chasing ghosts. Every touch, every shared glance from 50 Shades of Grey suddenly seemed like proof. For those who had followed their story from the beginning, it wasn't hard to imagine. Their chemistry on screen had been too powerful, too genuine. It blurred the line between acting and emotion. Even the people on set noticed. Crew members often whispered that Jamie and Dakota didn't need to rehearse their intimacy scenes. The connection came naturally. There were rumors of quiet conversations after filming, of long glances when the cameras stopped rolling. But what made this rumor different was its tone. It wasn't just gossip. It hinted at something emotional, even tragic, a secret buried beneath the fame and flashing lights. Reporters began digging. Some pointed to Dakota's interview from years earlier, where she said, "I carry a part of Jamie with me. Something that no one else can understand." At the time, it sounded poetic, but now, people were sure it meant more. Others recalled Jamie's mysterious quote in 2019, "Some connections don't fade, even when they're not supposed to exist." Suddenly, dots started connecting. Fans noted that Dakota had once disappeared from the public eye for several months after filming ended, citing exhaustion. Around the same time, Jamie had cancelled several appearances, saying he wanted to focus on family. To some, it was coincidence. To others, it was confirmation that something had happened, something too intimate, too personal to ever reveal. Inside this swirl of speculation, neither Jamie nor Dakota said a word. Both stayed silent, and sometimes silence speaks louder than denial. Behind closed doors, sources close to Jamie said he seemed distracted and more withdrawn than usual. He was spending more time alone, avoiding interviews that mentioned his co-star. Meanwhile, Dakota was seen in interviews looking nostalgic whenever Jamie's name came up. She smiled, but her eyes softened, as if she was remembering something bittersweet. The press began calling it the hidden baby story. Some tabloids went wild, printing sensational headlines suggesting Dakota had once been pregnant. Others claimed the baby was metaphorical, perhaps a lost project, or even a secret charity the two had funded together. But the lack of clarity only fueled the fire. Fans scoured every clue they could find. They compared the tattoos on Dakota's wrist to the doodles Jamie once drew in an interview sketchbook. They pointed out a silver bracelet he wore, identical to one she had during a photo shoot years before. Every detail became evidence, every gesture became a hint. And yet, through all of this, there was something oddly tender in the way people spoke about it. Unlike most Hollywood scandals, this one didn't feel cruel or cheap. It felt haunting, as if people weren't chasing gossip, but trying to piece together a love story that had never been allowed to bloom. Amelia Warner, Jamie's wife, stayed quiet. Her silence only deepened the mystery. Insiders said she didn't like to comment on fantasies, but that didn't stop tabloids from speculating about tension in the marriage. Was there jealousy, regret, forgiveness? No one really knew. What everyone agreed on was this: something about Jamie and Dakota's connection had always felt different, raw, real, impossible to fake. And maybe that's why this rumor struck such a chord. Because it wasn't just about fame or scandal. It was about the kind of bond that makes people wonder if two souls can share something deeper than friendship, yet never cross the line. Weeks passed, but the rumor didn't fade. If anything, it grew stronger. A fan posted a still from 50 Shades Freed, a scene where Jamie's character holds a newborn baby, looking both terrified and overwhelmed. The caption read, "He didn't have to act here. Look at his eyes." That's not Christian Grey. That's Jamie. The post went viral, reigniting the conversation. People said the emotion in that moment felt too raw, too personal to be fiction. And somewhere between the whispers, the old quotes, and the resurfaced videos, one question began to echo everywhere, in tabloids, fan pages, and late-night talk shows alike. What exactly was the baby Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson were hiding? No one had an answer. But everyone was waiting, because in Hollywood, silence doesn't last forever. Days turned into weeks, and the story refused to die. The phrase, hidden baby, became a media storm, whispered in podcasts, dissected on fan accounts, and printed in glossy magazines with blurry photos and sensational headlines. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, once again, were names tied together by something more than a movie. Only this time, it wasn't desire on screen that kept people talking, it was mystery. Jamie stayed silent for a long time. His team denied nothing, confirmed nothing. Every word he didn't say became fuel for more speculation. Even Amelia Warner, ever composed and private, began to feel the weight of the noise. People wanted answers, not because they hated him, but because they wanted to believe in the possibility of something hidden, something too human for Hollywood to stage. Then, quietly, it happened, an interview that no one expected. Jamie had agreed to appear on a popular podcast known for its candid conversations. The host, known for asking difficult questions with disarming warmth, brought it up gently halfway through. "There's this story circulating again," she said, "about you and Dakota, about a baby that fans keep talking about. It's gotten wild out there, hasn't it?" Jamie smiled faintly, the kind of smile that comes from exhaustion rather than amusement. He looked down, rubbed his hands together, and finally said, "It's strange what people choose to see. But I guess, when something feels real on screen, people think it must be real off screen too." The host pressed softly, "So, is there any truth to it?" Jamie hesitated, just long enough to make the world hold its breath. Then he nodded slightly. "There is truth," he said, "but not the kind people think." The internet lit up within minutes of those words. Clips of the moment went viral, headlines screaming, "Jamie confirms hidden baby story is true." But those who stayed to listen to the rest of the interview heard something completely different, something deeper, and far more touching. "When Dakota and I made those films," he continued, "it wasn't easy. The roles, the attention, the pressure, it changed both of us. But out of all of that, we created something we were proud of. We used to call it our baby, not because it was a child, but because it was something we built together. It belonged to both of us. And no one else could ever really understand it." He paused, his expression softening. "People don't realize how much those years shaped us. We grew up through that experience, and it's something we'll always share, even if we've gone in different directions." The host smiled knowingly. "So the hidden baby was the story itself?" Jamie nodded. "The films, the memories, the lessons, they were our creation. They demanded everything from us. And sometimes, when people talk about them, it still feels like they're talking about something personal. Maybe that's why the rumors never stop. People felt the truth in what we made." That night, the clip spread across the world. But instead of mockery or scandal, something unexpected happened. Fans began sharing heartfelt messages, talking about how the films had meant something to them too, how they'd watched Jamie and Dakota grow, not just as actors but as people. A few days later, Dakota herself addressed the rumor during a red carpet interview. When asked about Jamie's statement, she smiled, calm, graceful, almost nostalgic. "I know what he meant," she said. "What we built together was something we'll always care about. It's not a secret baby, it's a memory. A very precious one." Her words ended the speculation more effectively than any denial could. The truth wasn't sensational, it was human. But behind the headlines, behind the softened explanations, those who knew them well said the truth ran deeper than either had admitted. They hadn't just shared a professional journey, they had shared a profound emotional one. The kind that leaves an invisible mark, the kind that never really goes away. Amelia understood it, too. That evening, as she and Jamie sat together in the quiet of their home, she reached for his hand. "You handled that beautifully," she said softly. He exhaled, looking relieved. "I just wanted it to end." "It won't ever fully end," she replied with a small smile. "But I think now, people finally understand it the way they should." Jamie nodded, glancing out the window at the fading light. "Yeah," he said, "not everything hidden is shameful. Some things are meant to stay private because they're sacred." Amelia leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then let it stay sacred." And it did. The noise faded. The rumor became myth. The myth became nostalgia. Fans moved on, but every now and then, when an old clip of Jamie and Dakota resurfaced, a laugh, a shared glance, a moment too tender for fiction, people still wondered quietly to themselves. Was it just acting, or something more? No one would ever know for sure. But maybe that was the beauty of it, that some stories are meant to remain half-told, hidden between truth and memory, where only the people who lived them truly understand what they created together.